It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where we talk about common questions people ask about tattoos and piercings, answered by people that do them for a living, tattoo artists and a piercer. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo, the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, and Death Before Decaf. Well, this is Season 2, Episode 11. We're going to ask the question, how does weight gain and loss and medical procedures affect piercings and tattoos?
Yep, I've seen it all. I was there.
I was there when they made it.
In a world. Okay, so, yep, that comes up. Women getting tattoos down on their bikini line, on their stomach areas and such. Pregnancy, they ask about.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really varies. There's not a straight answer. I've seen women that
it can go either way.
Yeah, got pregnant, and a year later you couldn't tell. And other women that just hit every branch on the way down and took every stretch mark on the shelf,
which is hereditary. In case you didn't know.
It's something you can't.
Yeah. There's no. It's just. What do you do?
Crapshoot, man.
So yeah, if you get a stretch mark right through the tattoo, that skin, it's like a scar without your skin actually externally splitting. It's almost like an internal wound. So it's scar tissue. It's tissue that's been very angry at one time. So it's different than normal tissue. And if you're getting tattooed over that, depending on how bad they are, they can be tattooed. But if you've already have a tattoo there, it's a scar. So it will deform the tattoo because your skin is actually stretching there, and then when it goes back, that skin is scarred and it's
not gonna
loose.
Yeah.
So it's a very tricky situation, to get into. So I would say if you're younger, if you're planning, especially if you know you're gonna have kids, wait.
Wait till afterwards.
Don't get your or your breast area, because your breasts are gonna enlarge.
Right.
That could and some ladies get really large, and that can damage the tattoo. Not only that, but when the breast we'll just say, for lack of a better word, recovers from the pregnancy and goes back to its
normal size,
as normal as it can, it's not going to be the same.
No.
So now that skin's changed, and sometimes it's significant, then that will distort the tattoo. Some's not going to be as big of a deal as others. If you have perfect circles and geometric lines, it's going to be very obvious. If you have something maybe kind of flowy and floral and whatever, it might not be as obvious. But again, if you're that age where you are pretty much assured you're going to have a kid, I definitely avoid those areas, because man, I've come across some stretch marks, and you feel bad because you want to be able to cover them up or distract from them or whatever you can, and sometimes you can only do so much with the canvas you're given and the health of that flesh, and so yeah, I'd skip it until
Sticking with the pregnancy, the two piercings that are affected the most are nipples and navels. With navel piercings, it really depends on whether or not your navel pops. It's never going to be in the same spot that it was originally. Generally, they'll move a little bit to the side or a little bit this way. Also, the hole entrances will tend to enlarge if you leave the jewelry in through the whole healing process.
So it's better to take it out?
It's better to take it out, in my opinion.
That was going to be my question.
Nipples, if you're going to breastfeed, I abandon them. Even if you
don't want the kid choking.
There's no problem. Yeah, exactly. There's no problem going through the whole healing or pregnancy with a man. It shouldn't create any problems. It really will only affect the direction of the milk during breastfeeding. But you don't want a metal object with loose parts in an infant's mouth. So you're going to end up having to take them out and put them back in, and take them out and put them back in. And I can guarantee you it is going to be a pain in the ass addition to something that is not exactly the most relaxing period of your life.
And you need, some time in your life where you need to focus on something more than your jewelry and your nipples, probably.
And re-piercing is usually not a problem. Of course, the placement's going to be a little bit different. Maybe when when you have it redone. But especially with the navels, I know there's a lot of things out there on the market like flexible tubing and so forth. It's my experience even with that stuff, it looks disformed and weird afterwards. I've had a handful of clients that have worn it all the way through without any issue, but they are the exception. Yeah. They are that 1% of people. Right. There's no way around it. I guess back on the tattooing thing, I especially with people that do weightlifting and bodybuilding, et cetera. There's this theory or this thought that it's either going to stretch out, kind of like you're pulling it apart, or it's going to suddenly get smaller. What is a general thing that happens?
Well, your skin, it's a big organ, and it can regenerate itself to a degree. But really, when you're gaining muscle and you don't do it too fast, your skin is just going to naturally stretch, and it'll accommodate your muscle as it's growing. Some people that they get big really fast do get stretch marks, and that's when you're getting too big too fast. Just like when a woman gets pregnant, that's a big change really quick. Your skin can't keep up. It has to make these relief cuts, so to speak, to let the skin go. Where was I going with that?
Tattoos.
How it stretches. So anyway, more than likely, it will distort, but only if you get like massive, dude.
More often than not, I see more of a fade effect than any kind of stretch effect.
Right, it'll kind of thin
your ink. All of your ink, you haven't got any more ink, and that ink's just spreading out a little bit across your tattoo there. And
blow up a balloon halfway, draw something on it with a Sharpie, and then blow the balloon up the rest of the way. And that pigment's has to grow, but that's gonna create space.
Because I think people think that it's gonna just keep getting smaller and smaller.
No,
it's gonna get really, really wide.
Right? Yeah.
If you're bodybuilding and you've gotten bigger, then it's not. I mean, it's easy to go back in and have those pieces brushed up and made bright again that fit your body just fine. So if you even really need it.
Yeah, well, and depending on, two things. Depending on what you're getting, most things, even if they distort a bit, it doesn't matter because they're going to be distorted a bit on your body already, and a little more distortion isn't going to be that big deal. Plus, you're going to be ripped, and people are going to be like, oh my God, you're super ripped, and have crazy tattoos, and they're not going to go, but that one looks a little bit weird.
Nope.
It's you'd have to get so massive that at that point the tattoos wouldn't really be a factor. And but if you are getting let's say a portrait on your bicep,
that baby of yours is going to have a really big nose,
right?
Exactly. And things might stretch a bit,
and
pull proportions off.
And portraits get distorted to a degree anyway because they're on not a perfectly flat surface like a photo is. So they're already going to have a bit of degree of distortion to them. Right. So you're only going to be adding to that. So I wouldn't recommend it. But for the general rule, when it's usually a young man who's in the prime getting all, I tell him, you know what, it's not going to be a big deal.
You can work out all you want. You're not going to swell up to Arnold Schwarzenegger's size in a couple months.
Right. No. And if that's your goal, then don't get tattooed. Right. I mean, really.
Until later.
I mean, if you're looking to pack on 100 pounds of muscle in the next couple years, focus on tattooing later.
If you're trying to do that and be competitive, most times you can't
make
be
so much more money because you're going to have so much more skin.
Well, they deduct points if you're a bodybuilder and you have tattoos and stuff a lot, of times.
It's
a blemish.
Yeah. So, well, there you go, I guess. But but general rule, it's really not that big a deal. No, it's not going to be something.
It's the same way with weight gain. Of course, if you have something on your stomach, you might want to be concerned about it, but otherwise it shouldn't affect it. With piercings, it's the same thing with navel piercings and areas of the body that do expand and contract. As far as weightlifting, I don't think there would be any problem. I get a lot of questions about nipple piercings in bodybuilding. As long as you're keeping the equipment that's coming in contact with the piercing clean and you're not doing things that hurt and you're not putting a lot of pressure on it, it should be fine. Of course, if you're healing out a tattoo, you need to take precautions too.
Oh yeah, especially if you get a fresh tattoo and you're going to the gym, just pray before you go in.
You're exposing it to everybody's sweat and everything.
Exactly.
It's about as much of a toxic waste dump as an elementary school.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yeah. I would recommend exercising at home, changing up your regimen a little bit, especially if you go to a very popular gym, because people don't wipe down that stuff ever, and people go in there before they shower, because why shower to go to the gym?
Right.
Yeah, same reason you don't want to swim.
Right. So yeah, but that's a little bit of an offshoot.
What about somebody who's kind of a heavier person and they've gone through a major surgery like a gastric bypass or something, and afterward they've lost a lot of weight and the skin's kind of they've got a lot more excess kind of skin hanging? Would you recommend them getting their tattoos before or after this surgery, being as that skin's going to kind of sort of deflate a bunch over that time period? What would you, if somebody was asking that question, what would you think?
There's really no good time in that scenario. Both is going to create distortion, and you're going to have issues both ways, especially if you're going through such a loss that you're going to have skin removal. You're wasting money, because they're going to remove your tattoos. They literally remove your flesh. It's stretched to such a degree.
Unhealthy.
That's what I was thinking too, and I want to just agree with you.
It's one of the things that your insurance will cover. They won't cover the surgery in some cases, unless
to get the bypass.
But
they'll cover
the removal of the skin. And from what I've heard, that's much more
terrible.
horrendous.
Horrendous. Yeah, from what I've heard, horrendous recovery than even the surgery itself. Yeah. Talk about paying for those whoppers, man. Yeah. But so speaking of surgery, on that I'd say both ways. There's really not a good scenario. I would just it's up to you to get it. But if you want I would think the least amount of distortion is to wait till after that skin removal surgery. And if you're gonna,
they've pulled things up a little bit tighter for you,
absolutely,
and you're to that position where you're a little bit more comfortable with yourself.
And
anyway,
you do want to give it, because they overstretch it, just like when you get breast augmentation. You want to wait a period of time for a couple different reasons. First off, there might be some circulatory problems, and the other reason is that tightness is going to slowly kind of dissipate a little bit, like with a tummy tuck or anything like that.
Yeah, when we tattoo the skin, we don't want it as tight as it can get. There's a butter zone where it's just tight enough, depending on how you run your machine, that that'll go right in there. So I wouldn't want to see somebody. I'd want them. I'm not a doctor, but I'd think at least a year or two to kind of let that skin settle.
I always kind of compare it to like the looseness of your forehead, because that's one thing in your life that never changes for the most part.
Really? Let's all.
Yeah. It's flexible. You can feel that undergrowth and et cetera, I've done nipple piercings on a lot of people that have had breast augmentation, and usually it's waiting for that circulation to get back, because they usually remove the nipple and place it in a different spot. So especially if you are thinking about getting it done, I don't suggest piercing your nipples beforehand. Do it after.
That reminded me of a gal that I tattooed a while back who was an exotic dancer. And she was planning on getting a breast augmentation. And was wanted a chest piece. And she talked to me about, should she wait or should she go ahead and get it done? And I, after very little contemplation, said you should absolutely wait. Things are going to move, shift. They're sisters, not twins, as they say. You don't want, let's wait. Well, no, let's go ahead and do it, because it'll be blah blah blah. Okay. So went ahead and did it, and then sure enough, down the road she got her augmentation done, and I was right. She was happy, but when I saw the tattoo, I thought for sure she was going to be like, "You were right," whatever. Because to my eye, I wasn't satisfied with that,
because it affects the flow.
Right. Yeah. Just the whole position.
The whole canvas has changed.
She was happy with it, which is really the end goal. The ultimate. I'd rather her be happy than me. But it confirmed to me that yes, if you're planning on a major augmentation, such as skin surgery removal, or skin
breast
removal,
reduction,
increase, all that. Let's get your body as close to where it's going to be for a long time as we can before we do anything to it. Because obviously, if it's a little to moderate change, you're not going to see much effect in your tattoo at all. But if you're talking about those kind of major life changes, then why not wait?
Yeah.
And the one person I know the one client I had that did leave her nipple piercings in through the whole time, by the time everything healed, one was pointed this direction and one was pointed this direction.
Is that right?
Because they didn't pay attention when they sewed it back on. And we were talking earlier about scarring and surgery through
But wait,
tattoos.
you just said lift him in during the whole...
Well, she took him out for the procedure, and then she put him back in afterwards.
Right.
She put in glass jewelry to keep it open during the surgery. Did everything right, and they were like, oh yeah, this is the way I do it every time.
And this leads that into the second thing you can do to maybe mess up a tattoo is getting surgeries done.
Yeah.
And I've run into this a number of times, and most of the time the client's pretty upset because the doctor messed up their tattoo. And I can't tell you what the doctor was thinking when he was suturing you, but
Probably saving your life.
Right. And some doctors are sympathetic to tattoo artwork, and they view it as a beautiful thing, and they don't want to do anything to destroy it, but they sometimes do have to go through it. And when they are suturing it, they will do their best to get it back together as well as they can. But if you've ever done any like sewing of anything that has any type of elasticity to it like that, and when there's swelling and there's all that trauma, you can only do as good as you can. And a lot of times once you get to the middle or towards the end, you've got a little hump on one side and it's a little tight on the other. It happens, depending on the skill of the surgeon and where the wound is.
They try to get them to match as much as possible to reduce scarring and reduce the likelihood of infection.
Sure. I mean, they want to put you back together as close as they can because that's going to only benefit the healing process and everything else. There are some I've seen, I swear to God, the doctor had a vendetta. Like you had to try to not put that together. But honestly, I've never sutured a wound. I don't know anything about it other than what I've caught by accident on YouTube. Or the ones I like. Have you seen these guys? They suture grapes back together.
Oh yeah.
They'll take like an X-Acto knife and they'll cut the skin like off a grape, like almost all the way around, and they'll lay it and they'll do it all with these little forceps, and then they'll lay it back on, and with these little forceps and these tiny little hook needles, they'll sew the skin back onto the grape. Amazing. I think they're ocular surgeons, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably. I'm guessing that's probably the easiest way for them to practice.
I'm sure it's their practice videos.
Animal eyes of some sort, which is probably a little bit more costly than a bag of grapes.
Right. And I can only imagine that suturing, something on a very fleshy, swollen place.
It's kind of a tough thing.
Look, lady, I'm going to try to get your hummingbird back together, but honestly, I'm worried about you bleeding out and healing up and being healthy. So, don't be too mad at your surgeons, but that is a way that you can get a really beautiful tattoo butchered up. And, at the end of the day, it's your health.
Yeah.
Versus a tattoo. I know we're all very attached to our tattoos. They're very personal to us.
The canvas has to stay alive to keep the tattoo alive.
So
we've got other episodes on tattooing on scars and covering up tattoos, so check some of those out.
Right.
What about like removal of moles and that sort of thing? Have you guys had any experiences with that?
Moles are funny. When I first got tattooed, one of my first tattoos, they went around it.
Yeah, that's what I've always learned or been told.
And then, but I've also seen tattoos done and have worked with artists that just plow right over them.
Yeah.
So, depending on the mole, I'll either plow over it or go around it. If it's a big, gnarly-looking sucker that I think probably needs some attention, I go around it. If it's, like a freckle-type looking mole, very flush, I'll usually plow over it. They usually don't really affect it. Now, if you get one removed, I'm not sure what they do. They freeze them or they
freeze them or they cut them.
So if there's pigment in the flesh and they remove it, guess what? That pigment's gone, and
you're gonna have a hollow spot.
Gonna have a holiday.
But it should be easily fixed unless it's right on grandma's, eye or something.
Depending on the placement.
And now there's a little divot or a scar. But yeah, I think it'd be very unlikely that something like that would damage a tattoo to the point where it would be unrecoverable.
Yeah.
But another thing that just occurred to me is motorcycle burns, burning
road
your
rash.
but burning your
Muffler
leg on the
burns.
muffler. A lot more women I've seen
seen
doing
a
that
lot
than
of
men.
women, get burned.
You know, men a lot of times are wearing their jeans. They're very comfortable getting on and off their bike a bunch. The woman not so much, and she wants to look cute, so she's got her little shorts or something on, and that pipe's right there, and zam, man, they just smack
So
the
that's the
inside
thing
of
is
their
like,
leg on there.
you know, chaps, long jeans, motorcycle boots, helmets, and leather jackets are not there because it's fashionable.
Not at all.
They're there because you might fall off,
Right.
and to protect you from the pipes.
Yeah, it's a very brutal thing. Riding a motorcycle can be a very brutal thing when it comes to wind, debris, riding conditions, falling over while you're going very fast.
Or standing still.
Right. And someone in a car texting smashes into the back of you at 35 mile an hour. So you definitely want to take that kind of thing.
And that comes down to protecting your tattoo and covering it up. Yeah, I mean, really, if you're going to be in a situation or you're going to be out in the sun all day, long pants might be your best option.
And if you've been one of those people that have burned your leg or your tattoo on your side pipe, you've noticed that, man, it's almost as close as you can get in the art world to like a kneaded eraser and pencil. It just goes
takes it right off.
Gone. I mean, it just sucks that ink right out, pulls it up into that scab, and when that scab's gone, it's like, oh.
Yep, nothing there.
Oh, okay. Guess we got to fill that back in. I mean, it can just
it'll take it right off.
Erase it.
So that makes me wonder: does a brand react the same way if you okay, then
generally,
because basically you're branding your leg when you do that.
Yeah.
That would depend on how hot you got that branding, but if you're getting hot enough to really do the job it's supposed to do, then it would do the same thing.
I think an exhaust pipe, depending on where you touch it, it's at least 400 degrees maybe. Yeah. So that's just going to instantly, third degree burn. Bam.
I've been wearing ripped jeans and bumped mine with like my knee or something. Like, it's awful.
Yeah. Sew them up. Patch them up.
Yeah, I didn't wear ripped up jeans.
And burns, they really discombobulate the skin. I mean, nothing scrambles the skin that I've seen like a burn.
It just destroys it.
It does. It's like when it's putting itself together. It reminds me of like a scene from Animal House, like the next morning when everybody's kind of just looking around to see what happened. Like that's how I see those skin cells. Like what happened? Grab me. Okay, what? Who are you? I don't know. All right, just put ourselves together. And then you have this just spider web of
just deformed.
It's awful.
And see, I've had the same experience from deep cuts.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
and they stretched almost.
And it's white in the center.
Yeah.
The lizard thing that I have on my leg.
Right, your shin.
The last Have Not show with the original lineup, Paul broke his guitar and a piece of the wood embedded in my shin.
Oh, what a souvenir!
Yeah, so now I'm never going to get it fixed, mainly for that reason. But yeah, there's a definite line right there, perfectly in there.
Yeah, and that can be just as much of a tattoo, I guess, as the tattoo.
Yeah.
I've got. Speaking of that, I've got a Lucky 13 or Lucky Rabbit's foot right on the side of my knee with a banner that says 13 through it. I got it Friday 13th while I was in Sturgis one year. And the fish that we have hanging in our bathroom cut me. Ooh. Right across that tattoo, 6 stitches. 6 stitches.
I tell that story every time anybody asks if it's real.
I bought it at an auction, just quickly. I bought it at an auction. I had it laying over like a 5-gallon bucket in my garage, and the very tip of the tail got broken, and that thing's fiberglass. So it's like a little razor blade that's just, blending into everything in my garage. I'm walking through my garage. I walk right by it, and I just feel that, like that bullet shot, like, whoa! And I'm like, oh, that's bad. And I'm like, oh, no. Yep. So I do the whole, okay, I gotta look. And I look down, and it's your classic, like, no blood, just wide open. What do you want to look at?
Just white.
And I'm like, no.
Yep.
That white undercoating of
right. Tissue. So, I got it stitched up, blah, blah, blah. I have a little scar right through my Lucky 13. It's just as much as the tattoo. Right. Yes. It's just as much as the tattoo as the tattoo. So sometimes
when you mark yourself in a way that you don't want to get marked, it means more than the actual mark that was there in the first place.
Yeah, so if your tattoo does get messed up, hopefully it gets messed up in a meaningful or ironic way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add? Or I think we covered most post-tattoo and piercing events.
Stay out of the frickin' tanning bed.
Yes, of course. And always wear sunblock.
Yes. Please.
Be kind to your skin.
Not only because you don't want cancer, but because, you want to wear your tattoos for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's not like you're, not really taking care of that really nice shirt you bought.
Yeah.
That's the outfit you're going to be wearing for the rest of the days you have.
It's like buying a Lamborghini and not washing and waxing it.
Well, it's kind of the same thing of buying like a $400 T-shirt and then putting it in the window of your apartment or building.
Exactly.
And expecting it not to turn from dark black to some weird charcoal color.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's bleaching this. Yeah. That's what it's doing.
Yep. It's leaching it out. The sun hates your tattoos. Your son is like your great-grandma, probably. Yeah. She just hates them.
The sunshine just hates them.
Burn them out.
And that might be why your great-grandmother keeps giving you those gift certificates to the tanning bed.
Ah, that's got to be it.
I'll burn them things off of them eventually.
That's right. All right, you crazy people.
Thank you for watching or listening. You've been listening to Q&A in the Kitchen. We podcast or the video version. We post them every other Sunday. I always remember after I'm editing these that we don't really talk about who's actually on here.
Yeah, we don't even mention our names or anything.
I'm DaVo. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. I've been a professional piercer since 1994.
I'm Jimmy St. John. I'm one of the resident pirates here at Skin Kitchen Tattoo. I've been tattooing since 99, so about 20 years now. God.
You're old.
Yeah.
I'm Westley Dickerson, also just an artist here at Skin Kitchen. Well, yeah.
Tattoo artist.
A tattoo artist.
He's working his way up.
And I've been tattooing since 2006.
I'm Jack Lowe. I started in 97. No, wait. That's when I opened the shop in 97. I started tattooing in 93. And I own the joint, and I'm lucky enough to work with these silly mofos.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
Well,
I never work a day in my life.
Cheers, you crazy kids. Go out and buy your Death Before Decaf coffee. They are one of our sponsors here, and we love them very much.
Yes.
And they supply us with a nice supply of highly caffeinated coffee. She specializes in the flavored varieties. So if you like fun flavored varieties that have a little bit of a adult
kick to it,
niche kick, not only is it super, super delicious, about the only thing I drink, but it's fun for gifts because it is kind of that neat little spin-off-y stuff. So you can find her online, Death Before Decaf.
And we always list her in the links.
Good, yeah, and look for her in the links.
In their main page.
Good.
Also brought to you, of course, by Skin Kitchen Tattoo and the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. Check out our merch store.
Yes, because look, you get merch there, and it's really good.
Lots of cool
Really,
stuff
the quality's super awesome. We started out with the first store, and we got some stuff, and we scrapped it.
Yeah.
Dave spent hours and hours and hours and hours putting together this store. We've got everything from pillows to stickers to t-shirts to tank tops to bags to phone cases to stretchy yoga pants to
throw blankets, decals.
If we ain't got it, you don't want it.
iPhone cases on there.
Yeah.
And
There's even Droid cases.
So anyway,
so if you want a Q&A, and you can also get Q&A coffee cups too.
Yeah.
They're kind of like the ones we use. They're going to have that symbol on one side. The other side has a Q&A on it. So lots of fun stuff. So check that out. Link is in the description. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings and tattoos heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we all hope to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future.
Be nice.
Have a good day, everybody.
Be nice to each other, guys.
Later.